Our final topic that we're going to discuss is the bank reconciliation. Many of you already do a bank reconciliation, except it's not the formal process you'll learn today. Probably do it in your head. For example, let's say you use your debit card to get $50 worth of gas. You immediately check your bank account and it says you have $200. But do you really have $200? You need to check if that $50 gas payment was charged to your account, and it probably wasn't because it does take a few days to show up. Even though your bank statement is saying you have 200, you really have 150. And that's an informal bank reconciliation. Usually companies do this at the end of the month since banks send out statements every month. We're explaining the difference between the cash reported on the bank statement and the cash on our company's books. When I say the cash on the company's books, it means the general ledger account. All month long, we've been recording transactions in the journal and in the ledger for cash. And it says that we have a balance. Then we go and we look at the bank statement to see if it matches that balance. And it should, but it almost always does not. This is because there are some items that might not have cleared yet in the bank, or maybe something happened in the bank. Maybe they charged you a fee and you have to put it in your books. Therefore, there's usually something you need to update on both sides, on your company's books, and then something that will be updated in the bank statement. To do a bank reconciliation, first you have to get the balance per bank. This comes from the bank statement. What does my bank statement say I have? Then we have to do adjusting entries to this. First, we add any deposits in transit. Deposits in transit really means that a deposit you made that has not cleared the bank yet. Maybe you deposited checks that take a few days to clear. Maybe you put the checks into a night drop and the bank won't get it till the next day. Or if you made a deposit in an ATM and it takes a day or two to clear. Just deposits that you have on your books, but the bank has not cleared them yet. The second item would be outstanding checks. This is very, very common. Outstanding checks would be if you wrote out a check, maybe it's to buy something, or maybe it's for your employees, or it could be in the example I used before where you went and got gas. But you spent money, you updated your books, but it might take a couple days to show up. For example, my Progressive insurance, whenever I pay that online, it takes about 3 or 4 days to come out of my account. So I'll look at my bank account several days later and it's still not out. So I have to know that that is outstanding. It has not cleared yet, but it will. So that whatever my bank account says I have to subtract my insurance payment from it so I can get the real true number. The last item would be errors. If there's an error that the bank had made, then you would have to update this on the bank side. For example, if the bank erroneously made a deposit or cashed out a check for the wrong amount, you would have to contact them to fix it, but then your account would be updated that amount. Once you total all these together, you get your adjusted cash balance. I always call this your correct balance or your true balance. When everything clears and is said and done, this is what my balance should be in my bank account. The next thing we have to do is update our books to any transactions that happened in the bank that we were not aware of. We'll need to get the cash balance per books, which is your general ledger balance for your cash account. You would add any notes collected. This means if any deposits were made on behalf of you into your bank account, you would have to add that in. Next, any interest. If the bank gave you a deposit of interest, you would have to add that into your books to update your book side. Any uncollectible items and fees would be subtracted from your book balance. If we had deposited a check and it didn't clear, that means it was then taken back out of our account. So we would have to update our books to show that. Also, if the bank charges a fee for anything, it could be a monthly fee, it could be a fee for having a bounced check, whatever the reason is, once we see the fee on the bank statement, we have to also subtract that from our general ledger cash account to update it. Really, all we're doing here is updating accounts. Lastly would be errors on the book side. This would be more common than errors on the bank side. This is if the bookkeeper recorded something down incorrectly, you would need to update it. For example, if the bookkeeper said there was a deposit of $100, but really it was only $10, then you would have to take $90 out to fix the error. Once you total all of these up, you get your adjusted cash balance on your book side. This is your true or correct balance when you have everything updated. Remember, the book side, you update things that we didn't know about that we found on the bank statement. When we're all done, we'll know if we're correct because the adjusted cash balance on the bank side and the book side needs to equal. This is a great check. If it doesn't equal, then something's not updated correctly. You would also do adjusting entries for all the updates needed to the book side. Remember, we're starting off with our general ledger balance in the cash account. And then we have to either add or subtract all these transactions to it to get the true balance so that our general ledger cash account is updated to the correct balance. Everything that happened in the bank account will now be recorded in the cash account and it'll be the correct and true balance. We'll do an example next. This is your second problem on the classwork. Make sure you have it out and you're following along. We have Nolan Company that deposits all cash receipts on the day when they are received, and it makes all cash payments by check. At the close of business on June 30th, 2017, its cash account shows $22,350 debit balance. Nolan's June 30th bank statement shows $21,332 on deposit in the bank. This is our starting point. Our ledger shows we have $22,352, but the bank statement shows that we have $21,332. They don't match. Therefore, we need to update both sides here in order to make them match. We'll start by putting these two balances in for the book balance and then for the bank account balance. This is what your bank reconciliation looks like. Like I said, we're going to start with the two balances here. We have the bank statement balance of $21,332, and we have the book balance of $22,352. Let's go back and look at the adjustments that we'll have to put in. Personally, I like starting with the bank side. I think that side is easier. We're going to add any deposits in transit and subtract any outstanding checks. And if there are any errors on the bank side, we'll update it here. Let's take a look to see if we can find these items. First, we need to add any deposits in transit. Read through these items and see if you can find that. The deposits in transit are right here. On June 30th, cash receipts of $47.24 were placed in the bank's night depository after banking hours and were not recorded on the June 30th bank statement. What happened here is we made a deposit at the bank, we updated our records, but the bank hasn't gotten it yet, but they will, and it will be updated and it will be added to the bank balance. Therefore, we need to put this in. We're going to add the $47.24 to the bank side. The other item that appears on the bank side would be outstanding checks. Look through this and see if you can find any outstanding checks. It comes from this first item. Outstanding checks as of June 30th total $3,713. This means that the company wrote checks, put it in the ledger, wrote it in our books that we paid, and these people didn't cash the check out yet. Does that mean that this money is ours to keep? No, it will eventually come out of the bank balance. It just hasn't come out yet. These are all timing issues. We need to subtract this amount from the bank side. The only other item that would go here would be errors made by the bank. Take a moment here and look through if you can find any errors that were made. The error is right here. I'll put an E for error. In reviewing the bank statement, a $90 check written by the company was mistakenly recorded in the company's books. Who made this error here? Was it the bank or was it the company's bookkeeper? In this case, it would be the bookkeeper. The books need to be updated. Therefore, this error does not go on the bank side. It will go on the book side because the bank did not make the error, so they do not need to fix it on that side. The bank did what they were supposed to do. The only items that will appear now would be the outstanding checks and the deposits in transit. Let's add that in. We have the balance. We're going to add the deposit of June 30th, the $4,724. And then we're going to subtract the outstanding checks of $3,713. Nothing else goes on this side. And like I said, this side is usually the easier side to do. We're going to total everything up here, and we get $22,343. This is my true balance. Next, we have to update the book balance. Let's go back and take a look at the transactions. These transactions would be the ones that we haven't used already. We have the June 30th bank statement included a $41 debit memo for bank services. The company has not yet recorded the cost of these services. This means we got charged $41 from the bank, and we need to update our records for it. This would be the service fee. Because we got charged $41 from the bank, we need to subtract that $41 on our books. Let's skip down to the end. The bank statement included a $23 credit for interest earned on the cash in the bank. The bank gave us $23. We need to update our books to show that we have this $23. So we'll need to add this in. The other item, which I saved for last, was the error. And reviewing the bank statement, a $90 cash written by the company was mistakenly recorded by the company's books at $99. These take a little bit to think about. You really do have to analyze these. If you think about it, we spent $90. That was the correct amount. We accidentally wrote down that we spent $99, and I'm putting a negative sign here to show that we spent the money. What do we need to do that to fix this, this mistake here of the $99? We accidentally recorded $9 too much being taken out from the account. To fix this, we need to add $9 to it. Think about it one more time. We spent $90 on something. We accidentally thought it was $99. So we actually have $9 more. When we do the bank reconciliation, we'll have to add this $9 to the book site in order to update it and fix it. These are the three items we're going to be putting onto the book side. The first item we're going to do is the recording error on the check. We're going to add that $9 to it to fix it because we accidentally took out 99, but really should only be 90. So we're adding $9 back to fix it. I would say the errors are the hardest part of this. Next, let's add any interest earned. Remember, the interest is already included on the bank side. We didn't put it here, so now we have to. Last item is to deduct the service charge. Remember, the bank already subtracted the $41 out of the account. That's already included, but we never did it on our side. We need to include it now. We're going to total all this up, and we get $22,343. We'll know if we did this correctly because they match. If you got something else that doesn't match, it's because something is not updated appropriately. Because the end result is to make a match. That's the point of doing this. What you would do last is then take these entries here, these three items on the book side, and do journal entries to update the cash account and make sure all of this is recorded. I'm not going to have you do this. All I want you to do is prepare the bank reconciliation. You don't have to do the journal entries. This is the last slide I had for chapter 8. We're done with the chapter. Hopefully this was helpful, and if you get stuck on anything, you can always rewatch it. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I hope you're all doing well, and don't forget to submit the classwork. Have a great week, everyone.